It was once a palace in the sky, an airline so refined it commissioned ashtrays from Salvador Dali. Its mascot, a welcoming Maharaja, became a global symbol of Indian hospitality. This was the golden age of Air India, but that glamour faded, replaced by decades of staggering debt and government control. How did the pride of a nation fall into such turbulence, only to be rescued by the very family that first launched it? The story begins not in a boardroom, but in the cockpit of a tiny single-engine plane. In 1932, J.R.D. Tata, a brilliant aviator and businessman, personally flew a de Havilland puss moth from Karachi to Bombay carrying a bag of mail. This was the birth of Tata Airlines. In its first year, the fledgling carrier flew 160,000 miles, transporting 155 passengers and turning a small profit. It was a humble beginning for what would become an aviation giant. After World War II and Indian independence, Tata Airlines was reborn as a public company named Air India. With the Indian government as a 49% partner, the airline went international. On June 8, 1948, the Malabar Princess, a Lockheed Constellation, embarked on its first long-haul flight from Bombay to London. This era cemented the airline's identity. The slogan "Became Your Palace in the Sky," and its mascot, the Maharaja, was created. As its commercial director explained, his blood isn't blue, but he may look like royalty. Air India wasn't just a carrier, it was a pioneer. On February 21, 1960, it took delivery of its first Boeing 707, becoming the first airline in Asia to enter the jet age. Just 2 years later, it made history again as the world's first all-jet airline. This technological leadership propelled its expansion across the globe. With routes to New York, Tokyo, and across Africa and Europe, the airline also cultivated a reputation for impeccable taste. Starting in 1956, it began amassing a priceless collection of Indian art, displaying paintings and sculptures in its booking offices worldwide. This commitment to culture was so deep that in 1967, the company commissioned surrealist artist Salvador Dali to design a set of ashtrays. As payment, Air India gifted him a baby elephant, but the airline's flight path was about to change. In 1953, the government of India nationalized the carrier, purchasing a majority stake from Tata Sons. J.R.D. Tata was kept on as chairman, a position he held until 1977, but the company was now under state control. For decades, it operated as India's flag carrier, however. The seeds of financial trouble were sown in 2007 with a merger between the international-focused Air India and the domestic-focused Indian Airlines. The merger was intended to create a stronger, unified airline, but it did the opposite. Losses ballooned. By 2009, the combined entity was losing over 70 billion rupees a year. The debt spiral was immense, reaching over 426 billion rupees by 2011. The government pumped in billions, but it wasn't enough. In a desperate move, the airline began selling and leasing back brand new Boeing 787 Dreamliners, essentially pawning its future to pay for its past. After multiple failed privatization attempts, the government decided in 2020 to sell 100% of the airline. In a moment of historical poetry, the winning bid came from the Tata Group. On January 27, 2022, 69 years after ceding control, the Tata family brought Air India home. The Maharaja had returned to his original palace, but this was no simple homecoming. The airline was a shadow of its former self. Tata immediately launched Vihan.ai, a 5-year transformation plan to completely restructure and rebuild Air India. The first phase focused on the basics, improving on-time performance, fixing grounded aircraft, and overhauling customer service. The goal is ambitious: to restore Air India to its status as a world-class global airline. To back this vision, Air India placed the largest single aircraft order in aviation history. In February 2023, the airline announced deals for 470 new planes from Airbus and Boeing, a $70 billion bet on the future. This massive fleet expansion is about more than just new planes. It's a declaration of intent. Alongside the new metal comes a new look. A rebranding effort called Vista introduced a new logo inspired by a traditional Indian window frame, or Jaraka Jaroichka, symbolizing a window of possibilities. The final piece of the puzzle is consolidation. To streamline its operations, Air India is merging with Vistara, its joint venture with Singapore Airlines, and absorbing its low-cost subsidiary. This will create one single full-service carrier and one low-cost brand under the Air India umbrella. The journey has been long and turbulent, from a visionary's dream to a state-run behemoth and back again. Now, Air India has a clear flight plan. A massive new fleet is on the way, and its original founders are back at the controls. It is attempting one of the greatest turnarounds the aviation world has ever seen.